great screen.
Okay,
We good?
I'll share the link with you. Can you just test it once?
Sure.
And I also
Mm.
I don't know, I just wrote a couple of lines if you want to forward that.
Got it. This is the name, the line, industry roadmap.
Yeah, I took this
Perfect.
photo.
Okay, that's
used it.
great.
So,
You gonna send me a link?
yeah, I emailed it to you. I replied to the email chain that you sent me. So if you can click it and
Like I said, let's put it
Yeah.
higher. So
so are the mics on? The speakers?
speakers will be on if they use their.
Oh, okay, so
Otherwise, it won't be on.
because that would be a good way to test if it's.
I think it should be. Yeah, I will. Maybe yeah. You can even keep it here. Like that, yeah. There you go. You can rotate it. Okay, now I think. Yeah.
He just said he's gonna put handheld down there and two flip-on microphones that will be live, so anybody can.
Put that on. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the default camera view should be a little bit more angle before we rotate and go. Keep it down the floor. Just keep it under it. Yeah, maybe we'll step out. Ooh. You have to rotate it a little bit. I'll tell you how to rotate.
Okay.
Rotate. And notice of the default. I'm going to log in first. Let me see what I get. Okay, so it is facing us now.
Oh, okay, you mean like that?
Yeah, when somebody logs in first, we should.
So I think I need to turn it by.
Sort of it is right now. It's okay. Okay, let me try again.
Because there's a delay, so even though I change it, it's gonna take a few
okay, got it.
seconds. There's I think a 1 minute delay.
Yeah, it's right on back. You can see
Okay.
the whole room right now.
So,
Perfect. Yeah.
is the audio on for you? I'll just go
Uh,
speak something in the mic, and I just want to see if the mic catches this.
8, microphone 8. Hello. Great.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So does somebody who stands here regularly put his eyes there? Is it-
I put those there for fun.
Oh, because I first thought that.
Yeah, very clear its
Oh,
voice.
it's clear? Okay. Alright.
Morning.
Good morning. And it also has a microphone. That's one is picking up directly, right?
Yeah, so we are just using the camera, we're not
Camera,
doing the
we're not
video.
using the-
And in the
Yeah.
in the email I've sent you,
Yeah.
it works best with Google Chrome.
Google Chrome, so
The
I can
360
mention
and
that.
everything. So I've written that in the email, but I mean, if you want to.
Okay. Oh, got it. I think we have written everything there. Okay.
Julie,
Ma'am,
you will go through the agenda, I don't have to do that. Is
you
that
don't have
correct?
to do anything except whatever you want to do. I'll introduce you.
Okay,
I need to end a few slides to my. Come on down. But I don't come, okay, may I do next too? Yes. If I bring the stick, yes, okay, yes, thank you. We had some travel challenges.
you will have to aim to get in.
Yeah, so the person who's supposed to come from Johns Hopkins isn't here. Aisha happened to be on campus from Johns Hopkins giving a presentation yesterday, so she's pinch hitting. So it's, yeah, and our woman from Morgan State emailed me at 6 o'clock this morning, and she only made it as far as Bloomington. What the heck? I don't know. And this was, Baltimore weather, DC, or, I don't know what was going on.
So the consultant Bill came from Atlanta yesterday, his flight was delayed.
Yeah, John and Tracy came there too. He must have been on the same flight.
Yeah, it is.
Tony, do you think I'd move this in maybe like a foot or so? Do you think I could move the camera maybe just a foot that way?
I don't know. Why? Because
Because it's the exit tripod.
like, let me call straight.
Thank you.
So many sticks. Oh, that's right, and I hear we're lucky to have you in town. Yes, it's by accident. Are you worried about somebody tripping over that?
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm supposed to think about the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And if the security guards catch me, then I'll get it. Fine.
Well, when he comes back in, actually, when Cash comes back in,
Mm-hmm.
he's like to tell us whether he can, how to move it, and how.
Yes, it's right.
Hey. Hi. I'm Shri. I'm Shri. Ron. It's nice to also Ron. I just need to keep the aisle clear, so this ledge needs to be inside here.
Oh, so you mean just in
I
like?
mean, so like this can't be blocked.
Oh, okay.
So I just need to shift it over to the top.
Is this?
So
Let's see.
that should be fine. But obviously you'll need to reset your.
Oh, but that's actually a 360-degree camera.
Oh, well then that's cool.
So it
But
won't really make
Okay.
much of a difference, but
oh, okay.
I'll still with this tripod.
You think it's fine?
Yeah, we just
no.
need.
I just had to shift the tripod on the wall, but everything else is fine. There's a folder that's open on the desktop that basically says presentations. But if you put it on the desktop, it's fine too. Podium presentation.
Yeah, I found them. I found them.
Oh, she needs help. But we want to make sure it's in the same folder.
You making a turn towards Paul's? No, never. No, it's going to take at least one or two more broken arms before we even consider that.
Well, it was slippery. It was like, it had just rained. It was really slippery. And actually, I wasn't even with her because I went back to the car to get the check. We had just gotten on the trail. It was really sunny in the morning.
Yeah.
So we got the trail really big.
Come back here.
But, yeah. So that's probably why I was. Who knows? But,
Yeah, probably.
Excuse me, Brian, did you see if there's anybody else out there or did we get started? I'll do that. Thank you. morning, everybody.
Good morning, Wendy.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even expect that. My name is Wendy Rogers. I'm delighted to welcome everybody to our event today. And really, I'm just up here to introduce my dean. So she's going to do the welcoming remarks for us. So Cheryl Hanley Maxwell is the Dean of the College of Applied Health Sciences. And all I can say is she's an awesome dean.
Looking for a bigger raise. Welcome from the College of Applied Health Sciences. We're dedicated to improving the lives of people of all ages and abilities throughout the world. And we are responsible for this beautiful weather that you had yesterday and today. Now, it's going to rain tonight, I think, so you'll be on your way out, and that's somebody else's responsibility. Welcome to the University of Illinois. I've been here for 3 years, and one of the things that I have found about this institution is it's unique in many ways. One of it is that it's highly collaborative. It's a very forward-looking institution, like most institutions of higher education are, but the degree of collaboration on this campus is nothing short of astonishing. The breadth and depth of the research and the learning activities on this campus and the university's contributions to advancing knowledge throughout the world are well known. And we hope to build on that reputation and expand it and really push it in this area. And kindly welcome to our collaborative workshop focused on developing industry. We're here because never changing. There are more individuals over the age of 65 than ever before. When he put this little tidbit in my welcoming remarks, I said, wait a minute, I'm there. So you guys are here for me, okay? You got that? It's for me. And more are over the age of 85 than ever before. There is a wide range of capabilities and needs in older adults. Many are managing chronic illness or disease or acute health conditions. Many are living with disabilities or acquiring disabilities. Many are caring for family members, and many are doing all of the above. Many can benefit from the support for their healthcare and daily living needs by technology and other kinds of supports in the home. But these individuals also have a great deal of knowledge and breadth of experience from which we all can benefit. I hope, even though I'm 65, I'm not used up now, that I have something to contribute to this work. Consequently, we need to engage them in their communities, retain them in the workforce, and make use of them in their educational roles. As a result, technologies that are developed need to be targeted, user-centered, contextualized, and easily integrated into people's lives. I want to emphasize that last point because if you've ever seen older people, including me and my husband, try to adapt a new technology or adopt a new technology, it can be pretty funny to watch us do it. So trying to integrate it into somebody's life needs to be a primary concern as you come up with technologies that can be used in the home. Technologies also need to be safe, reliable, and affordable. And again, I'm going to stress that last point. If technologies are not affordable, they will only serve a small segment of our population. We need to reach broad distribution to achieve both economies of scale and health and wellness equity. We're very excited about developing this consortium between the University of Illinois, Johns Hopkins University, Morgan State University, the Georgia Institute of Technology, industry partners, and various community agencies. The consortium is listed up there. It's called PATH, Proactive Aging Through Technology for Health. The title connotes a positive approach to supporting the needs of older adults, their family members, and healthcare providers. For these efforts to be successful, we need interdisciplinary research. For the research to have impact and relevance, we need to partner with industry and community agencies. Together, we have the opportunity to improve the lives of older adults today and tomorrow. And really, that's for all of us, not just me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to just comment that in addition to the people in the room who represent a number of different industries, our university partners, community agencies, we also have quite a number of people who are watching us online. We're doing live streaming of the event, and we have people from the National Institute on Aging, We have some folks who represent the U.S. Senate policy on aging. We also have a number of industry and community partners. So the group is larger than you see here, and we're trying to make everybody feel welcome and engaged. And when we have our breakout sessions, we're figuring out ways for them to still be involved even though they're not here physically. That's okay, I have another one. So Dean Hanley Maxwell mentioned the consortium and the first order of business. This is a consortium of a number of different universities. I'm going to try to do this so I can look at the slides. And University of Illinois is represented by Kesh Casavatis and myself, Wendy Rogers. Johns Hopkins, the partners there are Gregory Hager and Sarah Zanton, neither of whom could be here today, but Aisha Gersis is going to be representing Johns Hopkins. From Morgan State University, we've been working with Mike Spencer. He could not be here, but Jessie Talley, not sure if she made it yet. She made it to Bloomington last night, and she emailed me this morning. She'll be arriving sometime today. And then Beth Minot is the point person at Georgia Tech, and we have a number of colleagues from Georgia Tech who are here with us. I just want to, I don't know where our guy went, but this is not working. Well, that's because it's unplugged. There we go. Excellent. I want to give big picture this morning, and I also want to point you to this report. If you have not read it, I highly recommend it. It's the World Report on Aging and Health. It's available at this website. There's a short version that's roughly 20 pages, and then there's a very long version that's probably a couple of hundred pages, but it's really very insightful about helping us to think about issues related to health and aging. And the short version is actually printed in, I think, 10 different languages. I highly recommend it. I'm going to show just a couple of slides from the report. They also have all of these slides available on the website that you can download for your own presentations, which is quite nice. So this graphic represents the state of the world and the percentage of older adults throughout the world. On the left side is 2015. And the gray sections, less than 10% of the population is over the age of 60. When the World Health Organization is talking about aging, they usually use the cut point of 60 plus. The light blue is 10 to 30%, and then the dark blue is 30% or more. And what you see is the transition as we move from 2015 to 2050. Look at Canada, Europe, China. More than 30% of their populations will be over the age of 60. That's really striking and something for us to keep in mind. One of my favorite slides that this slide deck contains is this one. And the idea is that there's no typical older person. And I think that represents this very well. Older adults vary in their functional capabilities, their life experiences, their interests. Some are still working, some have managing multiple chronic conditions or caring for others. Huge variety of capabilities, limitations, interests, and preferences that we need to be aware of. The report also stresses the idea that healthy aging is an investment and not a cost. And so if we think about investing in health systems, long-term care systems, lifelong learning, age-friendly environments, and social protections, that's going to lead us to benefits, immediate benefits in health, skills and knowledge, mobility, social connectivity, financial security, personal dignity, safety, and security. And those in turn will give us a return in terms of individual well-being, workforce participation. This is a topic we'll talk more about later today. Consumptions, those of you that represent industry who are selling things, this is a market where people will be buying things. Entrepreneurship and investment, innovation, social and cultural contribution, and social cohesion. The ultimate goal is to maximize functional ability. Why this particular collection of universities? So we have people who are at the forefront of engineering, of science and development. You'll hear throughout this morning that we have a history of collaborating together with each other, but also with industry and with the community. We have a unique opportunity here to integrate our strengths so as to have more impact. We have a very interdisciplinary group here today, and there are a lot of opportunities for engagement. And so what we're doing this morning, we don't want you to sit there all day and listen to people all day. We're just going to give an overview this morning of what are some of the activities at the different universities. And then we've structured the day to have breakout sessions, interaction opportunities, to really learn from each other. So that is the plan for the morning. I'm going to start by talking about some of the research in the College of Applied Health Sciences. I will then turn it over to Kesh, who'll talk about some of the efforts in the College of Engineering, and then we'll hear from our colleagues at the other universities. Disk not ejected properly. I'm having fun with technology. All right. Well, that's because I took the jump drive out without ejecting it in order to put this in. So that was my fault. I think we're okay now. Thank you. I moved to the University of Illinois from Georgia Tech in 2017 to start a program that I call CHART. This is in the College of Applied Health Sciences. CHART stands for Collaborations in Health, Aging, Research, and Technology. And this is an interdisciplinary program that is really what has brought Kesh and I together to work on some of these efforts, not only in engineering, but other groups across campus. The goal is to harness technology to support successful aging, and doing that through research, but also advancing technology developments focused on education, focused on translation, so very broad interest in healthy aging and through technology. One of the things that we're developing is called the Life Home, which stands for Living in Interactive Future Environments. My colleagues always tease me, I'm the queen of the acronyms, so I like to have these pronounceable acronyms. So the Life Home is a multifunction space that's being developed on campus. I'll show you some images of what it looks like in a moment. It's meant to be a collaborative space for research, for education, for community outreach. It's a simulated home environment. It has classroom and learning space, community involvement space. It's an opportunity for industry partnerships and collaborations with healthcare professionals, as well as visiting scholars from throughout the world. The basic idea is to think about the Life Home as a test bed for research, development, and implementation. So we may be developing various new technologies or other innovative products or designs throughout campus, but also in industry and in the community. And we can come together to test them, refine them in the context of the Life Home, and use that as a transition out into the community at large. I drove by this morning, I drive by every morning on my way to work, and I look over at the site to see what the progress is. The construction fences are up, there's dirt, there's piles of dirt. We're starting to make some progress. This is what it's going to look like. This is the rendering from the architects of the outside of the home. The idea is it looks like a home from the outside. And then this is the floor plan. The green area is the living space. So it will look like an actual home environment. We have something in the upper left called the Transport Research Lab. Some of you might call it a garage, but it's a Transport Research Lab. And we also have an observation area that looks into the different areas of the living space. We'll have fully implemented with cameras and other kinds of ways to view what people are doing in the home environment. We also have a large area here that right now is just called the makerspace. So this is going to be a flexible space for building, testing, mocking things up. We have a gathering space and a conference room, and then other office space and interview space. So we're very excited. The target is the end of this calendar year to have the home built, and we'll be moving in January. I'm planning a New Year's Eve party. We also are collaborating with Clark Lindsey Village. Deb Reardon's the CEO is here, so I encourage you to talk to her if you get a chance. And we have what we call the CHART apartment. So we're leasing space at Clark Lindsey Village, and And it's a great opportunity to do some of the same things we'll be doing in the Life Home, but in the context of her community. And I love the way she refers to her community as a technology-forward community. And a lot of the older adults who live there are University of Illinois alumni, retired faculty, so they're high-functioning, maybe a little higher SES, lots of opinions about technology, and willing to share those opinions. So it's a great opportunity for us to interact in that community. I am affiliated with 2 research centers. The first one is called CREATE, again with the acronyms. It's the Center for Research and Education on Aging and Technology Enhancement. This center has been funded since 1999, which is virtually unheard of, by the National Institute on Aging, and the team has grown a little bit over the years as some of us have moved around. Tracy Mitzner is here representing the Georgia Tech part of the team. I represent Illinois. We also have University of Miami, Florida State, and my colleague Sarah Saja just moved to Weill Cornell Medical. So we've been funded for many years, and we're in the process of writing for CREATE 5 in hopes of getting 5 more years of funding. The focus of this center is very broad. Aging and technology, broadly defined. And one of the things that we've done is we've written a book called Designing for Older Adults. And the 3rd edition just came out last month, and we just found out yesterday that we're receiving the Best Innovative Book Award from the Gerontological Society of America. So we're very excited about that. One of the things in the book is this framework that we use to guide our research, and I encourage you to think about this as we go throughout the day. You notice in the center is older adult, biggest, that's our focus. And we need to be aware of demographic characteristics, psychographics such as personality or preferences or attitudes, and as well as perceptual, cognitive, and psychomotor abilities. And these abilities interact with the technology that the individual is trying to use, as well as with the task that they're trying to perform. The technology itself has hardware characteristics, software characteristics, and imposes perhaps some demands on the user. Likewise, the task that they're trying to perform may be very complex and may be under stressful situations. It may have to be done quickly. That too is going to impose some demands. The important thing though is all of this takes place in a context. So in the context of the physical environment, the ambient, the geography, the spatial characteristics, as well as in the socio-cultural environment. So we need to think of the entire system when we're designing for older adults. And think about all the various activities. I think we sometimes are very constrained and we think of old people have to care for their health, right? And we forget that we all do a lot of different things, and we need to think about designing technology to support those different activities. The other center that I'm affiliated with is the Rehabilitation Engineering Research Center on Technologies to Support Aging in Place for People with Long-Term Disabilities. Co-directors on that project are John Sanford, who's also here, and Tracy Mitzner as well. And this is funded by NIDLR, the National Institute for Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research. And this is a joint effort between Georgia Tech and the University of Illinois. We've just gotten refunded, so we're very excited. We were funded from 2013 to 2018, and now been refunded from 2018 through 2023. The way that this center is structured is it has research, development, and training. So our research projects, one is focusing on really in-depth needs assessment of technology use, and I'm the lead on this project. Second is voice-activated digital home assistance. R.S. Srinivas, I think, is here, or he's coming. I know he's on, he'll be here later. R.S. Srinivas and Lindsay Kuhn are the leads on this project from the University of Illinois. And then third is the Tele-Wellness project that's translating a Tai Chi exercise program for older adults with mobility impairments to be able to do in their home. And Tracy Mitzner is the lead on that project from Georgia Tech. We also have development projects. First is using augmented and virtual reality to enhance acceptance and adoption of connected home technologies. It's really interesting, enabling people to imagine what it might look like to have that technology in their home. And that's led by Mary Beth Gandy and Laura Levy at Georgia Tech. Next is a detection system to monitor and manage falls among long-term wheelchair users. And Laura Rice, I think I saw Laura come in. Laura is the lead on that from the University of Illinois. Steady Wheels is a falls risk assessment that Jake Sosnoff, Jake's here, Jake is the lead on that from the University of Illinois. And then lastly is the mobile and voice activated app factory. So it's multiple apps in this space. The GATE app, Brian Jones is the lead on that. He's here from Georgia Tech. The multiple sclerosis wellness app that John Sanford is the lead on. And then we'll be developing other apps through competitions in this space. Lastly, our training projects. And these are ways to think about another topic I mentioned is workforce development. How are we training people with the right skill sets to be in this environment? So we have professional training, student training, as well as design competitions. So that's a snapshot of some of the different activities that I am engaged in with my colleagues. And now I'm going to turn it over to Kesh, and he's going to talk more about the healthcare engineering system section.
Thank you, Randy. Let me make sure I mark that here. Well, that was a great introduction, Wendy. So, a lot of exciting things started here in 2014 and 2015. I'm not sure if Jeff is here. Jeff was? Jeff, okay. He's sitting there very quietly, but I must acknowledge that Jeff had the great vision that with everything going on in the campus here, we should be leading in the area of aging. In 2015, I think Jeff and I joined together and wrote a proposal to the provost office to jumpstart that and have some cluster hiring type thing. And I think ours was the only proposal that was funded that year. And I think that was great because that helped Wendy to go here. And also, I think in the last 4 years, if you look at everything that's happened, we have invested about $5 million in the space, including the startup of the Life Home and the master's program, which you did not mention, which we're going to start. So it's a very exciting time on campus in terms of aging. The partnership that we have through Wendy at Georgia Tech and our team with Johns Hopkins and Morgan State really brings the diversity, nursing, public health, technology, human factors is why I think that we are all here today to see how we can leverage this partnership to go forward. I'm going to show a few slides on what we are doing in the space of healthcare engineering and also broadly in campus in the space of engineering and innovation. So the Healthcare Engineering System Center was started in 2014. We were fortunate to get a big endowment, which is about $62.5 million. And this came from OSF Hospital in Peoria. I see a couple of people here from OSF and Jump Training and Foundation who gave us money. And that helped us start this whole process of trying to see how the strength of engineering in Illinois can be applied towards broadly in the space of healthcare, which also included looking at aging space. We have about $2 to $2.5 million each year to give seed grants around the range of $50,000 to $100,000 that can jumpstart some of these programs. So I think that everyone knows that aging is a very complicated process. There is no one bucket we say that this group of aging people fall into this. No. There are complicated interactions in every stages. There are 80-year-old people who can go and run a marathon in a given day, and there are 60-year-old people who have chronic problems. So it is very complicated. So, so we have been thinking, what is that engineering can do? And so we thought there's one thing we can always look aging is in 3 different phases. One is healthy but aging, which I consider myself in this group, and I think there's a huge group in the 20-year range where people are healthy still, but they're aging, but they have chronic condition that needs to be controlled. The second group is people who are aging but need some assistance. And third are the group of people who need to be taken care of at home. So if you think of each of these groups, there are special needs, and there is a combination of these. And how can engineering solve this problem? So this is something that we have been thinking for 4 or 5 years, and there are many different organizations on campus who provide different parts of the puzzle. And if you can all agree how we can leverage this, I think we'll have some great solutions to happen in the next few years. So in the next few slides, I'm going to show you some core technologies that is being developed on the campus that really can work in this favor. So Illinois, we build things. That's what Illinois is famous for. We build things, we write software, we develop the next generation of computation models, and cloud computing, AI. That's what Illinois does very well. And this happens across the campus. It's not just computer science. What we see here actually happens in many different departments. So that's one thing about Illinois, that the things don't happen in silo, it happens across the campus. And in fact, it happens outside engineering as well. Data analytics, for example, is something that is big across the campus. Institute of Data is very big. Our institutes like the Beckman, IGB, Beckman Institute, IGB, MNTL. These are all organizations focusing on different core strengths, and each of the centers and institutes are the best in its own field in the country, if not in the world. And what we have to do as a community is to bring all of this to bear towards solving the problem of healthy aging, right? So areas like simulation, precision medicine, looking at sensors, how can we create the next generation sensors? So all these pieces are there in the campus, and I see many people in the room who actually represent some of these institutes and centers on campus. I just want to touch some areas on applied engineering that's already happening in campus between these centers that I showed before, that actually is working towards creating technologies for people with aging or disabilities or some special needs. One big area is robotics. So as an example, there are projects that is looking at home-based haptic systems that can be connected through community and can help people who are at home to do rehabilitation, and that can monitor and tell you if your rehabilitation is working, so people don't have to go for therapy to a hospital all the time. Funded by National Science Foundation is an example. We had a really very creative project funded by National Science Foundation, which looked at how can small drones help people with needs to bring tablets, for example. I'm not sure if I can see Naira. Here, Naira was the PI of that project. It was again a multi-institution project, a very creative project which was featured in the Aging 2.0. Also, there are groups looking at social robotics, looking at wireless sensors, looking at analytics. So you can see that the keys are the points which everyone in the country is thinking about is already existing in this campus at some level. Virtual reality is a very big focus area on campus, and in addition to the fact that virtual reality is now being used to look at people who have cognitive impairments or aging population at home, some of the things that faculty members are trying to do here, but it can also be looked at technology that can create the next generation of social network. So people who are living in independent living facilities can share their experience with their grandchildren having birthday across the world, for example. It can also be used for retraining, looking at new skills. This is something that I learned with our collaboration in Singapore, that because of the shortage of trained people, they're asking people who retired to come back and look at an alternate profession. Like, for example, a nurse from a hospital, they come back later and work as a receptionist or as a school teacher. The question is, how do you retrain people to go from one career to another career? And it will not be surprising that in a few years, with the population decline in many parts of the world and aging population increasing, there may be a need for people to retrain and find alternate professions. And using virtual reality, augmented reality is one way that we can help in making that happen. The other very important part of the campus is making point-of-care devices. MNTL on campus leads on that. I see Brian is there in the audience. His group works on sensors that can be used for looking at finding out diseases like sepsis and things like that on a chip, for example. As the price of these devices come down, doing some early detection can be done at home. For example, we all use blood pressure cuffs at home. We use thermometers at home. We can do sugar measurements. Well, the same concept, if we can go to the next level, we can identify people are septic very early on and reduce the death caused by infection. And there are many other conditions that can be monitored at home today rather than having to go to hospital. And so these kind of devices are being developed in campus at MNTL. What if we can take this into homes? You know, one of the biggest expense in our country is people who go to ER and end up in critical care for conditions which cannot be monitored at home. And as you know, one of the best way to get sick is to go to hospital. You know, so you don't want to go to hospitals if you can avoid, especially if you are very weak immune system, you want to stay at home. So can you take ICU to home rather than you go to ICU? Well, there are many things that is normally monitored, can be monitored at home with cloud in a much more cleaner environment in your living facilities. But it requires a lot of integration with technology and so when you talk about aging, these kind of systems also is going to play a very important role. Precision medicine through our Institute for Genomics Center, they work on genomic space. There are at least 50 to 60 different faculty members who work in the space of genomics and precision medicine in our campus. And as everyone who reads the New York Times or magazines know that precision medicine is going to make a huge impact in the future by trying to control the medication based on what you need. And this is again something that can help in diagnostics, making personalized drugs, and targeted monitoring of patients. And so this is again one of the areas. So one thing that we really do well on campus is look at simulation. We have a simulation center on campus called the JUMP Simulation Center, which was set up last year to help our new College of Medicine. We work with the JUMP Simulation Center in Peoria, which is one of the largest in the country. And then we have the LifeHome. I should have put the LifeHome. It's also simulation, is to simulate conditions before it is transitioned into homes. And a lot of time testing new ideas inside a real living home environment is difficult because if you want to do a design around people, we can do that in simulation. And this is one of the big thrusts in our campus. We have a lot of expertise and in bringing devices, people into environments, capturing camera videos, monitor people moving inside and tracking people, looking at the people for a whole day and things like that. So this is again a tool that I think will play a very important role as we roll out new ideas and new concepts. I just want to touch on one applied area of how we are trying to put all this thing together, and that is how it fits into community health. So one of our closest partners is the OSF Hospital in Peoria. They have about 13 different hospitals in Illinois and in Midwest. One of their biggest goal as a hospital system is to help people who need more. People who, as they say, more for those with less. They also are very interested to look at radical access to care. What does it mean? There are lots of people who do not have access to care. Even though we are the most modern country in the world, our hospitals are probably the best in the world, but there are many people who don't have access to care. There are people who have to drive 60 miles to go to the closest clinic in Illinois. So when we talk about Illinois, we think of Chicago or Champaign, but when you drive an hour away, we go to rural communities. And there are elderly populations who live in these communities who don't have access to care. So when you talk of independent living, it's very difficult for people in rural communities to have independent living. It's okay for a city or for have support, but it's not that easy. How can we solve that? So we have a very good team formed all of us in the campus here, Johns Hopkins is a partner in this, University of Buffalo is one of the partners. We are trying to see how can we identify people who have the needs using data, identify what kind of group of sensors can help people who are independently living in rural area. How can we use monitoring systems and AI and triaging to see if they need medical help or do they really need a neighbor to call them and get them a medication because they could not go to a pharmacy. So we call that a rural connected community. It's a challenge that we think we want to solve, and this can be translated in many rural communities in the country. We have been looking at, can we use voice system inside the campus? So again, ours is leading one of the effort, looking at how Alexa can be used to help people, tell them how to use sensors. How can we build an architecture of a very low-cost system for less than $100 a kit that can be given to people who have independent living inside rural areas, and that can be, the data can be put up in the cloud so we can monitor people and give them the help that we needed. Trying to put all of the sensors that we use, blood pressure, monitoring people, they're stepped out of the bed in the morning or not, or are they still in the bed at 4 p.m. in the evening? If someone knows that, someone can go knock on the door. Can we do that? A lot of exciting things. We are here to hear from the industry through the breakout sessions. You'll have a lot of chance to give your feedback. I'm hoping by end of today, we will have some guidance on how can we take these great technologies and make something happen. Thank you.
Aisha, you're up. So Greg Hager had some travel challenges and didn't make it, and coincidentally, his colleague Aisha Ursus was here yesterday giving a seminar in industrial and systems engineering, and so she's agreed to pinch hit for him.
But I think she came to this first, and we stored her for the additional.
Oh, well, good. Whatever works. Yes.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity, and I would like to thank Greg also for the opportunity. So I'm not Greg, so I will try to do the best I can with his slides. So if you need more information, I'm sure he will be willing to talk with you. So I will talk first about the Malone Center that we have at Hopkins. It is directed by Dr. Greg Hager, and the mission of the Malone Center is to catalyze and accelerate the development of research-based innovations with the purposes of improving effectiveness, efficiency, and consistency of healthcare. This is basically a center that has a lot of different types of engineers as well as clinicians working together to engineer and think about the future of healthcare and how we can re-engineer healthcare to improve many of the at many frontiers. And of course, all aging adults get to that in some sense, because most of the care is now, as Kesh was mentioning, is gonna be happening more and more at home. So this is what the picture of Malone Center for Healthcare is, the research areas. Okay, so in the middle was my attempt to change this figure last minute, and I couldn't change it correctly, sorry. So what I mean by that is we have engineers, healthcare workers, and patient family teams working together. We have healthcare data analytics, systems modeling and optimization, medical imaging, medical robotics, surgical innovation, and we also have human-centered design, human factors as some of our core expertise areas within the engineering, though we have many other expertise in our campus who we collaborate with. So As you know, there is a high, there is gonna be more and more of these older adults, very cute, some of them, and some of them not, but we still need to design and make them happy and work with them. So if we get this message from an older adult, that means we are on the right track, most of them probably. So we need to understand what they are going through, what their life is, and we need to think of the future, because as we know as engineers, you cannot just ask to the user what they need. You need to also observe what they are going through and put all those things and what you think future will bring all together to design the future. So just asking someone what you need will not get the right information. As a result, we need to think about out of the box, but still try to make sure we ground our work in the realities of what the people are experiencing as they get perhaps some chronic conditions and as they lose some of their physical capabilities. So there are some great examples of projects that are going on at Hopkins. So this is one of the, this is an example to that from Department of Neurology and Malone Center engineers and Kata Design Institute collaborating. This is basically an immersive interactive 3D game. It is called the Banded Dolphin. It basically helps the older adults to maintain their cognitive and physical health in the home environment. They have they play with this, and it was shown that they were able to improve. It was able to improve the cognitive and physical, or at least maintain those. And it is fun, and as far as I know, it's a highly accepted tool. I know that this institute now is being involved, this design studio is now being involved in developing the inpatient rehab after neurological stroke, mainly after stroke case happens, there is a big rehabilitation period, so they are now trying to design what the Hopkins inpatient rehab for stroke patients should look like after they are done with the acute phase of their care. And we also do a lot of human-computer interaction or human technology interaction. Actually, it is not even human anymore, it is team technology interaction, because we have multiple team members, patient family is also a part of the team, and there will be more and more technologies supporting, or if not designed well, impeding the care processes. So what we need to make sure as engineers, also want to make sure that we need to design these future technologies like robots that does the job, but also that doesn't introduce new unintended consequences that may be impeding the care or actually increasing the safety of the safety for the care of older adults. And we need to also think about whether the older adult or whether the family members will trust to this technology. So there is this big trust component to any of the automation. So we need to think about how we design it so that once you lose the trust to a tool, it is hard to regain that for any person. So there are also many other small or larger scale institutes or centers or research groups at Hopkins that work on older adults when you look at their research portfolio. Here is one of them that has been part of the NSF ERC application. This is the Center for Innovative Care in Aging, directed by Sarah Sultan from School of Nursing. And you can see that they have a good, they are established from this. That is what I understand. Okay, so here is many of the activities they do. They do research, they do training, and actually they are also very active, as far as I understand, very active in training the next generation of future researchers in this area. So they also motivate people to come together and write grants and papers, so that is also great to see. They also have impact on translation and implementation, so one thing they try to do is to reduce the time for the intervention to be implemented at a larger scale quickly, so that we don't need to wait 20 years for something that was like figured out